Super researcher Su Yiwan returned from shuttling through various worlds and unexpectedly dressed herself in a girl who couldn't confess her feelings. The original protagonist is a female canon fodder in a scholarly novel, a humble licking dog, and a stepping stone for the male and female protagonists. Su Yiwan sneered and said, "Oh, this licking dog old lady is not appropriate." As a result, she was locked in love and planned to study seriously, complete system tasks, and extend her lifespan. However, the original male protagonist who had been ignoring her suddenly changed. Not only does it sway in front of her every day, but it also causes unreasonable entanglement. Su Yiwan. Thank you for your invitation, my heart is sealed and I no longer love you. As a result, her legendary fiancé suddenly appeared and demanded that she take responsibility. Su Yiwan. Being responsible is impossible. She had just packed her bags and planned to run away, but the next moment she was stuck in the room. The man smiled seductively and held onto her waist, his voice low and sexy. Law, it's too late to run now, isn't it? Keywords of the novel. Confession you don't agree, I change my heart. What are you angry about without a pop-up window? Confession you don't agree, I change my heart. What are you angry about? Download the complete text. Confession you don't agree, I change my heart. What are you angry about? Read the latest chapters. Chapter 1. Wise men do not enter the river of love, licking dogs do not house. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Wise men do not enter the river of love, licking dogs do not house. The cold wind howled, and Su Yiwan's thin and frail figure stood by the lake, with the school's artificial lake behind her. In front of her stood a group of onlookers, pointing at her. Su Yiwan's face turned pale as she stared at the young man and woman standing not far away, her eyes red with extreme madness and desperate courage. Xiao Mo. Do you really like me? Xiao Mo's eyes flashed with a hint of displeasure, and he looked coldly at the girl in front of him. The makeup on the girl's face was gaudy, her hair was dyed in various colors, and she was wearing a black short skirt, a leopard print navel exposed outfit, and a thin denim jacket. At this moment, she looked at herself with tears on her face. His impatience grew stronger and he shouted impatiently, Su Yiwan, are you finished? What I said doesn't mean anything to you at all. Don't get tangled up anymore. If you refuse me, I'll jump down and die for you to see. Su Yiwan shed tears and pointed to the lake behind her, with the last hint of hope. However, Xiao Mo cruelly destroyed her last hope. If you want to die, go die quickly. Don't bother in front of me. Xiao Mo lost his patience completely and turned his head to look at the girl next to him. The coldness in his eyes dissipated, and his eyes were full of tenderness. Nanfeng, aren't you hurt? Watching Xiao Mo's attitude change, Su Yiwan felt as if her heart had been fiercely stabbed, and the pain gradually spread to her limbs. The onlookers burst into a burst of laughter. The mixed sounds of mockery surged in, stimulating Su Yiwan's fragile nerves. You're really shameless. Xiao Mo already has a fiancé, how could she possibly be interested in her? No, she doesn't even look at her ghostly appearance. She's so ugly, which man would like her if he's blind? Su Yiwan really has no self-awareness at all. How can her identity compare to Gu Nanfeng, the proud daughter of heaven? She actually used death as a threat. If you really want to die, hurry up and die. Don't waste everyone's time, have you been making more than one fuss? How dare she die? She's just trying to scare people. Laughing to death, she even threatened Gu Nanfeng. Who gave her face? Sentences of mockery and contempt flooded into Su Yiwan's ears wildly. The faces with disgust and disdain were incredibly clear at this moment. What caused Su Yiwan the most pain and despair was still Xiao Mo's absolute disregard and indifference. He seemed to be unable to see himself, and at this moment he only turned around to gently look at the girl beside him. At this moment, Su Yiwan felt hopeless and all the persistence over the years had become a joke. She curled up the corners of her mouth, gave a bitter smile, turned around, and jumped down into the cold winter lake. The coldness gradually enveloped and enveloping her. She recalled the bits and pieces of her childhood, the gentle appearance of Xiaomo in her dream, and then all the fragments of memory shattered into countless fragments that fiercely pierced her heart. At that moment, her heart stopped beating and her body plummeted straight towards the bottom of the lake. The girl's originally tightly closed eyes suddenly opened at this moment. Su Yiwan's mind was numb from the cold. She remembered that she had completed 99 tasks released by the system and was about to return to reality. However, after returning, she realized that her body had already been cremated and she couldn't go back. And if she cannot return to her physical body within 2 hours, her soul will be annihilated. Finally, the system that accompanied her for a long time exhausted all its energy and sent her out. Why is it so cold? From all directions, coldness approached her little by little, and the rushing water from the bottom of the lake rushed towards her frantically, as if wanting to tear apart her thin body. Her instinct for survival made her temporarily forget to contemplate her current situation. Subconsciously, she moved her hands and feet, and the next moment, with a loud bang, she emerged from the water. A sea of malicious words surged in, with mockery and malice. Su Yiwan was too lazy to pay attention and struggled to move her hands towards the shore. It took a lot of effort to finally climb to the shore. Cough, cough, cough. Su Yiwan coughed violently, supporting her chest. Her hair was wet and draped over her shoulders, and water dripped down, slowly eroding her limbs and bones. Da-da-da, footsteps sounded, and in the next moment, a pair of feet appeared within her sight. The man's voice, cold and impatient, came from above. Su Yiwan, don't do meaningless things anymore. Su Yiwan looked up at the sound. The man in front of her was tall and dressed in a light gray suit, with a cold face and a strong sense of impatience and disgust in his eyes. He looked at her as if he was looking at something dirty. Su Yiwan was stunned for a moment. Suddenly, some memories that did not belong to her appeared in her mind. She is wearing a book. Wearing it into a top-tier academic novel called So Many Beauties, she became the control group for the female lead and the canon fodder female supporting character in the novel. The female customer Nan Fong is the Miss Gu from the Gu family. She comes from a good background, looks good, and works hard, making her a reliable university bully. The mother of the original owner, who was originally a young lady from the Su family and was stunning, had an affair with a wild man and gave birth to an illegitimate daughter. Her father is unknown. The original owner grew up in the Su family but was constantly mocked and bullied, feeling inferior and cowardly. Later, she was rescued by the male lead Xiao Mo, and from then on, her affection for Xiao Mo was deeply rooted. In order to pursue Xiao Mo, she relentlessly pursued him, almost following the legend. Xiao Mo casually said to others that she wanted to eat peach blossom pastry from Tongda residence. She could queue up all night at Tongda residence just to buy Xiao Mo a box of freshly baked peach blossom pastry. At 3 o'clock in the morning, Xiao Mo was drunk with a friend and asked her to answer a phone call. She went out late at night without even getting dressed, afraid that going late would make Xiao Mo unhappy. Even though she knew that Xiao Mo had no intention of her, she didn't care at all that the people around him were maliciously teasing her. Even though Xiao Mo clearly stated that she had no feelings for her and did not like her, she never gave up. For the original owner, Xiao Mo was the only light in her life. This time, the original owner used jumping into the lake as a threat to force Xiao Mo to be with her. Finally, seeing Xiao Mo's attitude, he chose to end his life in despair. Unfortunately, in Xiao Mo's eyes, Su Yiwan was disgusting and foolish like a pig. He didn't even care and watched helplessly as the original owner jumped into the lake. Su Yiwan's mouth twitched. She looked at the man in front of her with a clear gaze. Xiao Mo looks really good, but it's not her aesthetic standard. She calmly got up from the ground and didn't even give Xiao Mo a glance. She only spoke coldly, "I know, I won't do it in the future." After speaking, he left without looking back. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. 72-hour lifetime, system tasks. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. 72-hour lifetime, system tasks. Su Yiwan's crisp and decisive actions left Xiao Mo slightly stunned. Su Yiwan used to entangle herself with him every time she saw him before, never trying to treat herself so coldly. In her eyes, it seemed like she couldn't see her at all. This strong contrast left him somewhat stunned for a moment. But soon it reacted again. Is this definitely another trick that Su Yiwan has come up with? Let's play hard to get. He sneered in his heart, ignored it, and walked away quickly. Did Su Yiwan really commit suicide by jumping into the lake for Xiao Mo? No one has done this for a man. What's the use of it? Xiao Mo doesn't even give her a second glance. No, if I had such a shameful daughter, I might as well strangle her. When Su Yi arrived at night just now, her eyes were so strange. It seemed like she didn't even take a second glance at Xiao Mo. This is not the first time Su Yiwan has threatened with death. She must have been playing some kind of hard-to-get trick just now. She loves playing these things the most, but unfortunately, they don't even accept her tricks. Nanfeng, you're so pitiful. You've encountered such a disgusting thing clinging to your fiancé, eh? Watching Su Yiwan leave, the students who were watching and eating melons were discussing one after another, with disdain on their faces. At the same time, some also felt sorry for Gu Nanfeng. Gu Nanfeng looked thoughtfully at Su Yiwan's back and didn't speak. Su Yiwan is organizing the memories in her mind. The female protagonist of this book is Gu Nanfeng, a reliable academic achiever who has been doing well since childhood and is also very hardworking. The current timeline is December, and in June of the following year, the original protagonist and Gu Nanfeng will participate in the college entrance examination together. Without a doubt, Gu Nanfeng achieved a good result of being the top scorer in the country, while the original master's score could not even go to college. She relied on shameless means to design Xiao Mo, attempting to cook mature rice with him, and then forced him to marry her. However, she did not expect it to backfire and fell asleep with the wrong person, provoking an existence she couldn't afford, and ultimately ended up in a tragic fate. At this moment, a familiar but weak voice suddenly rang out in my mind. Ding, the super top student system is activated. The wise do not fall in love, and the resentful will repeat the same mistakes. As a senior high school student, learning should be the top priority. Detected the host's current learning status, system task publishing. Mandatory task. Within 48 hours, brush 3 sets of mathematical, physical, and chemical test papers. A reward of 100,000 cash will be given for completing the task. There will be one chance to draw a prize, and the lifespan will be extended by 5 days. If the task fails, the lifespan will be reduced by 3 days. The familiar system prompt sounds surprised Su Yiwan. This system has been following her for a long time. During the time traveling between the heavens and the world, if it weren't for the presence of a system, she would feel very lonely and bored. And it was also because of the system tasks that she survived from crisis after crisis. If it weren't for the system this time, she would probably die in despair because she couldn't return. At this moment, hearing the sound of the system, Su Yiwan felt very nostalgic. Her consciousness sank into her mind and she saw a row of dazzling bright red numbers. 72.00.00 At the next moment, time jumped and became 71.59.59. This is Su Yiwan was slightly surprised, but soon saw a written explanation. Due to the destruction of the host's physical body in the real world and the unstable state of his soul, his lifespan is only 72 hours. The host should work hard to complete the system's tasks and extend his lifespan. After explaining it, the system fell completely into a deep sleep, probably exhausting its last energy. Su Yiwan took a deep breath and silently vowed to work hard to complete the task, extend the lifespan, and also restore the vitality of the system. As for now, she needs to go home and change into a new outfit, rest well, otherwise how can she study hard if she gets sick? Xiao Mo, did Su Yiwan really jump into the lake and commit suicide for you? You can do it, but that's the Miss Su of the Su family. Although she's an illegitimate daughter, I heard that the old master of the Su family dotes on her very much. The Su family is now in full swing, and if you really are with her, your status in the Xiao family can be greatly improved. At the blissful club, several young men and women sat together drinking and chatting. Someone couldn't help but look at Xiao Mo sitting beside him with a mocking expression. Xiao Mo's face turned black, he pursed his lips and remained silent, but it was evident that he was unhappy that someone had placed him with Su Yiwan. I heard that after Su Yiwan was rescued today, he didn't even look at you. The person didn't seem to see Xiao Mo unhappy at all and continued to ask with a smile. Xiao Mo instinctively frowned and said, "Can you not mention her? It's disappointing." "Hey, Xiao Das Ho, you don't like her. Why don't you give it to my brother? I think Su Yiwan is quite good. She is beautiful, has a good figure, and comes from a good family background. She doesn't have much brain, so she's the easiest woman to handle. If you like it, go chase after me and tell me what to do." Xiao Mo replied unhappily. Thinking of Su Yiwan's disregard for herself during the day, her face turned even darker. "I heard she listens to you very much. Whenever you find her, she will appear in front of you within half an hour no matter what time. You can send her a message and let her come to blissful land." Bored. Xiao Mo cursed. The friend beside him had already picked up his phone, grabbed his hand to unlock it, then found Su Yiwan's phone number, edited a text message and sent it over. "It is already late at night." Su Yi lay down early and late to sleep. She was falling asleep in a daze when the phone placed next to her pillow suddenly rang a rapid bell. Su Yiwan was startled to wake up. She frowned and picked up her phone, only to find that someone had sent her a message. Upon opening it, it was sent by Xiao Mo. The text message was only a few words, simple and clear, which also shows how humble the original owner was when facing Xiao Mo in the past. "Come to the blissful land to see me within half an hour." Su Yiwan rolled her eyes and directly blocked Xiao Mo's phone number. After thinking for a moment, she opened a chat app and blocked Xiao Mo's account. She then turned her phone to silent before lying down comfortably. Let her act like a licking dog to lick Xiao Mo. Don't even think about it. At 3 o'clock in the morning. Xiao Mo and the others have almost finished drinking. Chen Xiang glanced at the time on his phone. 3 hours had passed since he messaged Su Yiwan. He looked at Xiao Mo with a smile on his face and said, "Xiao Mo, it seems that Su Yiwan really doesn't pay attention to you anymore. She hasn't come for 3 hours and hasn't even replied to your message. Ha ha ha, maybe it's a new trick. I've tried it before, why don't we make a bet?" "Betting? Betting for what?" Chen Xiang suddenly became interested. "Let's bet on how long Su Yiwan can last without looking for Xiao Mo this time. I'll bet for a day, and tomorrow morning she'll probably come looking for Xiao Mo with a shy face. Then I'll bet for 3 days. I bet Su Yiwan doesn't like Xiao Mo anymore." Chen Xiang thought for a moment and said with a smile. "Ha ha ha, the loser will go to the school playground and run naked 3 times. Chen Xiang, I can't wait to see you run naked." The others burst into laughter. No one thinks that Su Yi will give up on Xiao Mo later. Su Yiwan pursued Xiao Mo for 3 years, with constant storms and clamoring to give up. However, within a few hours, she shamelessly ran back to surround Xiao Mo, and they all got used to it. Bet, who's afraid of who?" Chen Xiang took a sip from the glass on the table, giving himself courage. At the same time, I made up my mind to go find Su Yiwan tomorrow when I return to school, and I must persuade her to give up Xiao. What's good about Xiao? I like him who has no future. Xiao listened quietly to their conversation without saying a word. Looking down at the phone screen, my gaze fell on the message Chen Xiang had just sent to Su Yiwan, and I felt a wave of irritability in my heart. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. I love learning, learning makes me happy. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. I love learning, learning makes me happy. Su Yiwan slept comfortably and felt refreshed the next day. After taking a look at the progress of the task, there were still 30.8 hours left, and her lifespan was also reduced by 10 hours. Today is Monday, and high school seniors have heavy academic workload. On weekdays, the original owner only knows how to follow Xiao and hardly goes to school for classes. Even if it's going to school, it's just to lick Xiao. The high school she attended was the best affiliated high school of Nanjing University in Nanshire, which was connected to the campus. However, Xiao is currently in her third year and is a top student in the Department of Economics and Management at Nanjing University. She turned black and changed into a loose and old-fashioned blue and white school uniform, carrying her backpack downstairs. Downstairs, Su Nanshi was startled to see her like this and quickly stood up to greet her, saying, "Evening. I'm going to class." Su Yiwan is a very disciplined person. When she was in the research institute, she was famous for being punctual. The class time is 7:30, and it's already 7:00. She will be late for the first day of class. The little girl's face was not very pretty, with a delicate and beautiful expression, looking unhappy. For a moment, Su Nanshi couldn't figure out what was going on with her precious daughter, but her willingness to go to school was a good thing. So she quickly installed 2 sandwiches for Su Yiwan, brought a box of milk, and led her to the door. "Then let the driver take you to school. After school, will mommy pick you up from school?" "No need," Su Yiwan politely refused. "She is not a giant baby." A hint of disappointment flashed in Su Nanshi's eyes. After a moment of silence, Su Yiwan added, "I can go home on my own. I have grown up." "Okay," Su Nanshi tugged at the corner of his mouth. Su Yiwan got into the driver's car and the car quickly drove out of the Su family. The original owner had a poor foundation and was busy chasing Xiao for 3 years in high school, without even attending classes. Although Su Yiwan used to be a researcher in the research institute, she has been away from school for too long. To pick up the lost knowledge, she needs to familiarize herself with the knowledge in the textbook first. The incident of Su Yiwan jumping into the lake yesterday caused a stir at Nanjing University affiliated middle school. As soon as Su Yiwan entered the school gate, she attracted a lot of attention and everyone pointed at her. Su Yiwan remained calm and walked towards the direction of the classroom in her memory. How could there be such a shameless person? Even though he knew Xiao already had a fiancée, he persisted in pestering him and even jumped into the lake to force him to agree to dating. He decided to just die. What are these people still alive for? Su Yiwan had just walked to the teaching building when a voice came over, not too big or too small. She paused in her footsteps and looked up at the speaker. A sweet-looking young girl with a hint of sarcasm on her eyebrows and eyes, standing in the crowd, coldly looking at Su Yiwan, speaking without any hesitation. It is Lu Qing, the loyal follower of Gu Nanfeng. Su Yiwan just gave her a faint glance and walked up the teaching building. Lu Qing stomped her feet in anger and said, "Su Yiwan, you know what I'm talking about. If I were you, I wouldn't have the face to come to school. Don't you see what disgusting things you're doing?" Su Yiwan's footsteps paused again, without turning back. Her tone was very light, and there was no extra expression on her bright little face. "It's really quite disgusting. I like that person." After speaking, he lifted his foot and walked upstairs. Lu Qing was stunned for a moment, feeling a bit unresponsive. After a while, she regained her senses and looked at her companions incredulously. What did she just say? Did she say that liking Xiao Mo is disgusting? The female classmate next to her also had a dull expression on her face and instinctively nodded. Did Su Yiwan lose her heart and go crazy? Did my brain get flooded when I jumped into the lake yesterday? She actually said Xiao Mo was disgusting. Su Yiwan ignored the people's intentions and quickly entered the classroom. She has poor grades and is in class 19, the worst class in her third year of high school. Most of the people in the class are just slacking off and not suitable for studying. They don't work hard or attend classes well every day. Seeing Su Yiwan come in, everyone just looked up and didn't show much, continuing to lower their heads and busy with their own affairs. Su Yiwan found her seat and sat down, while her desk mate covered her head in school uniform and was lying on the desk, snoring soundly. She rummaged through the drawer and found several textbooks that had been torn apart, and fell into silence for a moment. The original owner did not love learning and naturally did not cherish textbooks. Every day, he tore the textbooks and folded 1,000 paper cranes and roses for Xiao Mo, changing their ways to please him. The textbook was torn apart by her, making it impossible to read. She glanced at her desk mate, hesitated for a moment, and finally reached out to lightly tap on their desk twice. My desk mate had a bad temper and suddenly pulled down the school uniform that was covering her head. She looked up, her red eyes cold at Su Yiwan, with anger in her eyes. Su Yiwan silently stared at the other person for a few seconds before speaking up. Classmate, can I borrow your textbook for a while? Oh, can I borrow you? Can I borrow you to tear up the origami plane for Xiao Mo? The young man's eyebrows were bold and unrestrained, and his words were full of disdain for Su Yiwan. Su Yiwan remained silent, just quietly watching him. I'm so annoyed. He cursed a few words in a low voice, took out a few books from the desk hole, and threw them directly onto Su Yiwan's table. Don't disturb me to sleep. After speaking, he fell down again. Su Yi swallowed the thank you that was too late and flipped through the books on the table. Fortunately, the content of the book is not profound. As long as you are slightly familiar with it, you can digest and absorb it. Not very difficult. Su Yiwan lowered her head and started reading seriously, causing other classmates in the class to look at her. Has this guy really jumped into the lake and lost his mind? She is actually reading a book seriously. A morning was spent in fulfillment. Su Yiwan closed the book in her hand, still unsatisfied. It's time to go eat. She packed her books, put on her backpack, got up, and went out to eat in the cafeteria. As soon as I walked out of the classroom door, I met Xiao Mo head on. Xiao Mo pursed his lips when he saw Su Yiwan, but his face didn't look good. They waited in blissful all night last night, but Su Yiwan didn't give any response at all. Chen Xiang held Xiao Mo's phone and sent a message to Su Yiwan, only to find out that she had been blocked by Su Yiwan, causing Xiao Mo to be ridiculed by Chen Xiang. Now that I see Su Yi late, I naturally don't have a good expression. Su Yiwan, however, did not look askance, as if she had not even seen Xiao Mo in front of him, and walked directly past him. Xiao Mo's expression stiffened, with all kinds of condemnations and mockery stuck in his throat. He couldn't believe it, but Su Yiwan didn't even glance at him. He stood still, his gaze fixed on Su Yiwan's brisk departure. Today's girl is wearing the most ordinary blue and white school uniform, with her long hair tied in a single ponytail. She has removed her previous heavy makeup and mature makeup, revealing her overly delicate and beautiful appearance with pride and arrogance, as if she is a queen who stands tall. She seems different from before. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. She said he was disgusting. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. She said he was disgusting. Xiao Mo, she didn't see you, ha ha ha. Chen Xiang, who was beside Xiao Mo, looked at Su Yiwan's distant figure with slightly bright eyes, and nudged his good friend with his elbow, unable to resist teasing. Xiao Mo's face turned very black. Just as he was about to leave, he heard several girls talking not far away, their voices not too low, and he could hear them clearly. Have you heard? When Su Yi came to school late this morning, Lu Qing blocked her and scolded her for being shameless. I've heard about it a long time ago. When did this news come from? Do you know that Su Yiwan, in front of many students, said that liking Xiao Mo is disgusting? She deliberately said that, right? She must have been trying to catch Xiao Mo's attention again. Su Yiwan is really disgusting. I feel like vomiting when I think about being in the same school as her. No, sorry for my male god. He was actually liked by such a disgusting thing. A few girls gradually drifted away as they spoke. Xiao Mo stood in place with an ugly expression on his face. Chen Xiang touched his chin and said, Su Yiwan said you're disgusting, Xiao Mo. It seems like she really doesn't like you anymore. This sentence made Xiao Mo, who was already in a bad mood, look even more ugly. Who cares about her liking? Are you still unable to leave? If she doesn't like you anymore, then I can see them running naked on the school playground. Chen Xiang was in a good mood. Su Yiwan didn't know this, she quickly arrived at the cafeteria. During the end of class, the cafeteria was filled with a sea of students, all in darkness. Su Yiwan looked at the students full of youthful energy and found a long-lost sense of familiarity. When she was in school before, she also looked like this, which is really nostalgic. Su Yiwan picked a short queue and waited for half an hour before finally waiting for her, but there were not many dishes left. She didn't pay much attention to what she ate, so she casually ordered 2 dishes and picked up the food to find a spot. Just a few steps away, an extra wall of flesh appeared in front of me. Su Yiwan instinctively looked up and saw her desk mate who had been sleeping all morning, with a look of disgust on her face, standing in front of her lazily, glancing at the food in her bowl with a hint of disgust. Su Yiwan wanted to pass him, but the other person took another step to the side and happened to block in front of her. Excuse me, classmate. Do you have anything to do? Su Yiwan asked with a good temper. The young man sneered and said, Go and have another meal. I'll take this. Su Yiwan. She was puzzled, and before she could ask, her hands were empty. The food in her hand had already been snatched away by someone. Su Yiwan almost laughed angrily, but when she thought about the other party's kindness in lending her textbook, she endured it again. Forget it, let's repay him for borrowing books this morning. Su Yiwan turned around and went to fetch another meal. When Xiao Mo and Gu Nanfeng entered the door, they saw this kind of scene. Chen Xiang beside him was inexplicably arched into the fire and said, Oh, I also said why Su Yiwan suddenly lost interest in you. It turns out that she has fallen in love with the young master of the Sui family. He seems to be a bit more noble than you. And they are all peers. He looked at Xiao Mo with a smile on his face. Xiao Mo's face suddenly darkened, he snorted, and even ignored Gu Nanfeng beside him. He turned around and left the cafeteria. Gu Nanfeng looked at Xiao Mo in confusion, then at Su Yiwan not far away, and raised his eyebrows somewhat unexpectedly. Su Yiwan didn't notice that Xiao Mo had come and left. She couldn't find a seat and saw an empty seat next to Sui Lin. She took a rice bowl and went straight over to sit down. The boy across from her looked up at her and then withdrew his gaze lightly, as if he hadn't seen her. Su Yiwan sat down to eat, pondering over what she had just seen in her textbook. They are all very simple content. If nothing unexpected happens, it takes a whole day to finish reading the book and you can start practicing the questions in the evening. In thought, I glanced at the dazzling countdown in the system again, and there wasn't much time left. After dinner, Su Yiwan tidied up the utensils and hurried back to the classroom to read a book. There are many textbooks. The first year of high school is the review stage, which includes all the knowledge from middle school and high school. The original owner did not read books well in the past and left behind a lot. She wants to go through all the books to ensure that there are no mistakes. Su Yiwan is immersed in the ocean of learning. After finishing his meal, Sui Lin came back and saw his desk mate, who was usually dressed like a killer and didn't chase after her male god, but instead started reading seriously. He sneered and deliberately pulled open the chair with a loud movement, then sat down. Su Yiwan just looked up at him and then lowered her head to look at the book in her hand. She reads at a fast pace, almost flipping through the next page in a few seconds. In the quiet classroom, only the sound of flipping through the books can be heard, clattering. Sleeping trough, did Su Yi read a book late? A few classmates who had returned from dinner walked in and saw Su Yiwan sitting in her seat, still reading a book. Their faces were immediately filled with surprise. What kind of book are you reading? Does she look like she's reading? How could anyone read so fast? I think it's more like flipping through a book. Ha ha ha, you're not playing any tricks to attract Xiao Mo's attention, are you? Laughing to death, Xiao Mo is not in our class again. She's doing these things for nothing. Don't look down on people. What if she wants to get into a key university and win the first place in the country to impress Xiao Mo? Sleeping in a slot makes sense, why didn't I think of it? The children in class 19 are not suitable for studying, and they all have some money at home. At this moment, they are discussing Su Yiwan recklessly. And the object of their discussion, at this moment, is only looking down at the book, completely isolated from all external harassment. With a loud bang and a sudden arrival, Su Yiwan lifted her head from her textbook and glanced at her desk mate who suddenly kicked open the table. Sui Lin's face was ugly, with a gloomy expression in his eyes. Why are you arguing? So, you can say, go get a lawyer exam. Everyone is afraid of Sui Lin, mainly because his family is too powerful. The Sui family is not something ordinary people dare to provoke. Sui Lin, can you help Su Yiwan talk? A girl looked at Sui Lin with an angry expression in disbelief. Sui Lin's lukewarm peach blossom eyes looked coldly at the other person and sneered, help her speak. Does she also deserve it? I think you are chattering like a group of ducks, making a fuss. Everyone should shut up. If anyone dares to talk nonsense again, I will sew a needle and thread into his mouth. Everyone shrank their necks upon hearing this, feeling a bit scared, but they did not dare to discuss Su Yi loudly anymore. Su Yiwan took out a candy from her pocket and handed it to Sui Lin, saying, do you want to eat candy? Sui Lin's mouth twitched and his gaze fell on the lollipop. He disdainfully rolled his eyes and said, who wants to eat your candy? Don't disturb me when I have nothing to do. After speaking, he took off his school uniform and draped it over his head, lying on his seat and falling asleep. Su Yiwan withdrew the sugar and continued reading. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Publicly slapped him. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5 Publicly slapped him, Su Yiwan, Su Yiwan. In the afternoon class, Su Yiwan had already finished reading her high school physics textbook for 3 years and was about to take out her chemistry textbook to read when she heard someone calling her name. She frowned and looked up at the window. Outside the window was a man in his early 20s, wearing casual clothes with a hint of a smile on his face. Seeing Su Yiwan looking up at him, he waved his hand at her and said, Su Yiwan, I am Xiao Mo's good brother. My name is Qian. He was injured while playing basketball on the basketball court just now. Please go over there quickly. After speaking, he lifted his chin arrogantly, looking like he was giving alms. In the past, Su Yiwan had already been anxious and rushed to send warmth to Xiao Mo. She has been like this for at least the past 3 years. Everyone around Xiao Mo knows that Su Yiwan likes Xiao Mo so much that she lacks dignity. However, at this moment, the girl's clear and lingering gaze fell on him. She only glanced once, then withdrew her gaze indifferently, took out a chemistry book from the desk hole, opened the textbook, and lowered her head to read it seriously. Qian was taken aback for a moment and instinctively shouted again, Hey, Su Yiwan, are you deaf? I told you that Xiao Mo is injured, why don't you go see him? Noisy. Su Yiwan frowned impatiently. Qian is like a fly, buzzing and annoying. She closed the book in her hand, got up, and walked towards the door. The boy sleeping next door frowned, snorted, and then turned his face to continue sleeping. Su Yiwan walked to the door, but there was never much expression on her face. Qian finally saw the girl in front of him clearly. After shedding her intense and vulgar makeup, the girl's appearance was so beautiful that it was not like anything in the world. Her eyes were clear and pitch black, yet they carried an absolute coldness, making her look terrifying. He suddenly saw from Su Yiwan that she was unattainable. Su Yiwan didn't glance at him and went downstairs, running towards the basketball court. Qian quickly caught up. He made a bet with Chen Xiang and the others that if Su Yi didn't last for a day, he would shamelessly lick Xiao Mo again. As a result, all the rumors heard throughout the day were that Su Yiwan looked down on Xiao Mo and even felt disgusted. He couldn't sit still any longer, so in order not to run naked, he had to find an excuse to come here and deceive Su Yiwan into going to see Xiao Mo. As long as Su Yiwan sees Xiao Mo, she won't be able to pretend anymore. He shouldn't run naked on the playground. Su Yiwan quickly arrived at the basketball court. A game was playing on the field, and Xiao Mo's agile figure galloped on the field, causing many young girls to scream incessantly. Su Yiwan walked over and saw that they were fighting fiercely, and Xiao Mo didn't seem to be injured either. He suddenly knew that he had been deceived. In the past, when the original owner liked Xiao Mo, there were countless situations where someone would always run up to her and deceive her by saying that Xiao Mo was injured, thirsty, and hungry. Then she would abandon everything and go to work for Xiao Mo without caring. Su Yiwan sneered and walked directly into the stadium where the game was playing. The students around suddenly screamed, and at the same time, countless people angrily cursed Su Yiwan for being shameless. Damn it! Is Su Yiwan mentally ill? She's playing a game, why is she running up there? She's not even thinking about licking Xiao Mo at this time, right? Su Yiwan, can you go die? Why didn't you drown yesterday? Living like you is a waste of air. Go die early. Su Yiwan, get out of here. Su Yiwan turned a deaf ear and watched as the basketball flew towards her. She reached out her delicate, plain white hand and steadily grabbed the basketball. The basketball spun in her palm for a few laps before finally stopping. Su Yiwan threw the basketball in her hand and looked at Xiao Mo. Xiao Mo pursed his lips and looked at Su Yiwan with a cold smile in his heart. In the morning, he even said he was disgusting and deliberately showed intimacy with Sui Lin in front of him, but now he still runs to him like a dog. He knew that people like Su Yiwan couldn't just give up, but he didn't expect her to persist for only a whole morning and reveal her true form in the afternoon. Upon hearing this, Xiao Mo's face immediately wore a superior arrogance. Su Yiwan lifted her foot and walked towards Xiao Mo. The basketball in hand suddenly hit hard. Xiao Mo was stunned for a moment, and the basketball hit him hard in the face. He stumbled back 2 steps, his nose sore, and warm liquid slowly flowed down. The noise around faded away, and everyone looked at Su Yiwan in anger and disbelief. Did Su Yiwan hit Xiao Mo? How could this be possible? Who didn't know that Su Yiwan liked Xiao Mo so much that she couldn't help it? There were even rumors that Su Yiwan took the initiative to strip herself and seduce Xiao Mo, but Xiao Mo didn't even bother to look at her, causing her to lose face. Now Su Yiwan actually hit Xiao Mo in front of so many people. Xiao Mo's mind was buzzing, his nose was hurting, and his face was also hurting. He looked at Su Yiwan, wishing to strangle the woman in front of him that he despised. Su Yiwan had already walked up to Xiao Mo, less than half a meter away. She stood still, her beautiful and delicate little face without any unnecessary expressions, and her voice was clear and clear. Xiao Mo, right. I don't want to have another time with today's matter. As I said, I don't like you anymore, and I won't keep bothering you anymore. I hope you don't unknowingly come up and cause trouble. Crouching trough. Is this his mother Su Yiwan? Is it fake? This must not be Su Yiwan herself. How could she possibly say such things to Xiao Mo? Have you noticed that today's Su Yiwan is very different from before? It seems to be much more beautiful than usual. The onlookers were so shocked that their chins were about to hit the ground. The scene before them made them somewhat unable to react. The girl who used to chase Xiao Mo to lick now disdains him and even finds him annoying. Su Yiwan, do you know what you're saying? Xiao Mo's eyes twitched fiercely, and the words of discussion in his ear all came into his ears. He felt embarrassed, but more angry. In the past, when he didn't let Su Yiwan pester him, she insisted on pestering him, but now she feels annoyed with him instead. What kind of trick is this damn woman playing? Can't understand people's words. Su Yiwan Shioqi raised her eyebrows, and then repeated it kindly. It means that Xiao Mo is very annoying. Don't his mother me again. Understand. If you don't understand, I can translate for you again. Xiao Mo's eyes twitched wildly. Can he not understand? The disgust in Su Yiwan's eyes is not fake, she truly hates him. Just like how she used to like him, she openly and passionately. However, at this moment, Su Yiwan's straightforward emotions made Xiao Mo's face burn with pain, as if someone had slapped him hard. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. A beautiful over-shoulder fall. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. A beautiful over-shoulder fall. Su Yiwan, don't think I'll give you one more look like this. A woman like you makes me feel nauseous even if I give you one more look. It's better for you to keep your word and never bother me again in the future. Xiao Mo's face was burning with pain, feeling the look around him filled with schadenfreude and ridicule. When did he suffer such humiliation here at Su Yiwan? For a moment, my chest heaved violently with anger, and I even forgot to maintain my usual image as a cold and noble young master. Su Yiwan rolled her eyes and said, "Hee, SB. After speaking, turn around and leave." Xiao Mo's mind was buzzing, and she instinctively reached out to grab Su Yiwan's arm. As soon as her hand touched her arm, she saw the person who had already turned around, as if they had eyes growing behind them. Suddenly, she grabbed his wrist with her backhand. Before Xiao Mo could recover, Su Yiwan let out a loud moan and forcefully threw her over the shoulder, throwing Xiao Mo away. Xiao Mo fell heavily on the ground, lifting a cloud of dust. The entire basketball court was completely silent, with everyone's mouths wide open, staring at the scene in front of them, feeling that it was too surreal and unbelievable. Su Yiwan actually doesn't like Xiao Mo anymore. She actually took action against Xiao Mo. That emperor's arrogant son Xiao Mo was fiercely thrown to the ground by Su Yiwan. This series of reversals caused their minds to crash and they couldn't come back to their senses for a long time. For a long time, everyone gasped in unison. Xiao Mo lay on the ground, with severe pain in her waist, back, but her face was even more painful. Su Yiwan didn't hesitate to take action, and he finally felt from her sharp and decisive actions that she was indeed doing what she said. She now truly has no attachment to herself. Just like when she first liked herself and chased after her, when she liked it, she also put in all her strength and put in her heart and lungs, and when she didn't like it, the same happened. At this moment, the young girl stood in front of him, with a clean and pure face. For the first time, there was no expression of love from the past, only a cold and indifferent expression. She looked at him quietly, and it took her a long time to curl her lips. Her voice came in a clear and cold voice, "Xiao Mo, there is no next time." After speaking, he lifted his foot and walked away decisively. Sleeping slot. What did I see just now? Surprisingly, Su Yiwan fell directly over the shoulder to Xiao Mo and landed on the ground. Damn it! This woman was so handsome with that gesture just now. I seem to be tempted. To be honest, Su Yiwan looks so beautiful without makeup. I never noticed it before. Before, she always chased after Xiao Mo, a perfect-looking dog, and dressed strangely every day with makeup that looked like a ghost. I always thought she was very ugly, but now I realize how beautiful she is. Xiao Mo doesn't know if she will regret it. If it were me, I probably would regret it. After Su Yiwan left, the people around suddenly reacted and whispered and discussed one by one. There are already many people on the basketball court, and because there is a basketball game, there are more people coming to watch, whether on campus or off campus, watching the show here at this moment. Not far away, on a low-key black sedan parked by the roadside, the young man sitting in the driver's seat opened his mouth slightly, forming an "oh" character. It took him a long time to wake up and turn his head to look at the man sitting in the passenger seat. "Sir, your fiancée AE is so fierce." In the passenger seat, the man had a beautiful appearance, soared eyebrows and starry eyes, and deep facial features. At this moment, he was slightly tilting his head, watching everything happening on the basketball court not far away. Upon hearing his friend's words, he calmly withdrew his gaze. His eyes were as dark as a deep pool, with little emotion in them. He only opened his thin lips and uttered two words. "Let's go." "No, aren't you here today to see your future little wife?" "I don't think this is a little wife. Little Chili is pretty much the same. She won't domestic violence you after marrying you, will she?" Cheng Yiqiao thought of Su Yiwan's sharp hand and showed a look of interest, as if she wanted to see a large-scale domestic violence scene now. On the South African side, Bo Junju lifted his thin lips and said four simple words, but Cheng Yiqiao immediately closed his mouth and didn't dare to talk anymore. He stepped on the gas pedal from his heart and started the car. Su Yiwan seemed to have noticed something and turned around to look behind her, but she didn't see anything. She furrowed her brows, probably because she had changed too much at once, causing many people to secretly hide in the dark and observe her, right? So she simply ignored it and went straight back to the classroom. After tidying up Xiao Mo, Su Yiwan felt refreshed thinking that no one would disturb her studies in the future. As soon as I sat down, I saw my desk mate who had been sleeping, who was rarely awake, looking at me with a complex expression. Su Yiwan has a good impression of this desk mate, at least not an annoying guy, so she gained some patience and said, "Is there anything I can do for my desk mate?" Sui Lin glanced at Su Yiwan and quickly withdrew his gaze. He then leaned back and covered his head with his clothes. Su Yiwan shook her head when she saw this, took out a set of books, and began to practice the questions. She doesn't have much time to waste on unimportant people. Sui Lin, who is not familiar with him, is naturally included in this list. Su Yiwan has a full set of questions for the college entrance examination, which is the first mock examinations question. But the original owner missed the exam at the beginning because she suddenly heard that Xiao Mo was cold and ill before coming to the exam. Without saying a word, she ran to the pharmacy to take medicine, so she missed the exam. The questions were not too difficult, and Su Yiwan, who had thoroughly digested and absorbed the knowledge from 3 years of high school, worked very easily. It took her 4 hours to complete the entire set of questions. She casually set it aside and picked up the second set. But just as I finished writing 2 questions, the bell rang for the end of school. Class 19 is a group of mud that cannot be supported by the wall, so the teacher's attitude towards them is to completely let them go. Their college entrance exam results will not affect the admission rate of Nanjing University-affiliated middle school. So one afternoon, the teacher didn't even show up. Su Yiwan has collected the test paper and plans to take it home to slowly review it. This world is very different from the one she used to be in, and some of her knowledge points are also different. She was originally a person who loved learning, but now she has regained the joy of learning. The backpack was filled with various real solutions to test questions and simulated test papers. Su Yiwan carried her backpack and walked briskly towards the door. As soon as I arrived at the door, I saw Xiao Mo standing there with a gloomy expression on his face. He looked down at the ground, his hands in his pockets, and anyone could sense that his current mood was very bad, on the verge of exploding at a single touch. Su Yiwan only glanced at him and thought it was quite eye-catching, so she ignored him and walked past him. Xiao Mo's fingers moved and he looked up at the girl passing by him without looking at her. An indescribable emotion suddenly rose. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. The Su family with ulterior motives. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. The Su family with ulterior motives. Xiao Mo. A gentle voice sounded in his ear, accompanied by the faint scent of the girl's body. Xiao Mo finally regained his senses and looked up at the girl standing in front of him. Gu Nanfeng. The young lady of the Gu family, who comes from a good background, looks good, and has good grades, is the top daughter in the southern city. He put away some of the emotions he had just had due to Su Yi's late birth and forced out a smile, saying, "My parents said they would invite you to come over for dinner tonight. Uncle and aunt will also come over, and I will pick you up." Okay, Gu Nanfeng nodded and followed Xiao Mo's side without mentioning anything that happened during the day at school. The incident of Su Yiwan hitting Xiao Mo has caused a great uproar, and almost no one knows about it. Naturally, she has also heard about it. At this moment, seeing Xiao Mo's expression naturally, Gu Nanfeng didn't say much. Su Yi arrived at the school gate late and saw her car coming to pick her up. She went over and opened the car door, then got into the car. Just as I was about to have the driver drive, I heard someone shouting my name. "Su Yiwan, wait for me." She was slightly surprised and made the driver wait for a moment. A girl in her early 20s quickly ran over, and because of her fast running speed, the jade rabbit in her chest jumped happily. She came over and opened the car door without hesitation, got into the car, and then reached out to embrace Su Yiwan. When she saw her clean and delicate face, she was slightly surprised, and then asked in confusion, "Why didn't you put on makeup?" Su Yiwan looked at the other person and finally found the information of the girl in front of her from the corner of the original owner's memory. Su Yiwan, Su Yiwan's cousin. She lifted Su Yiwan's hand from her shoulder and then spoke in a cold voice, "Sorry." "What?" Su Yiwan didn't react for a moment. "Get off the car," Su Yiwan said coldly again. Su Yiwan frowned, but showed no intention of moving. She instructed the driver, "Drive, Uncle Zhao." I said, "What's wrong with you at night? Don't you know that Xiao Mo likes mature and steady girls? He definitely won't like you now. You have to wear makeup according to what I say, and what kind of things are you wearing? This is too vulgar, isn't it? Who would like a girl to dress so tacky? What about the clothes I took you to buy? You put them on, go to Xiao Mo's face, spin a few more times, and the men are all talking nonsense, saying." Su Yiwan was still chattering away and lecturing Su Yiwan. Su Yiwan turned over, crossed over her body, and opened the car door. Then, under Su Yiwan's incredulous and shocked gaze, she kicked her out of the car with a single kick. She then closed the car door and instructed the driver, "Let's go, go home." Zhao Hai's expression was still a bit dazed. He didn't expect the young lady to be so fierce. He obediently agreed and drove honestly. After the car drove away, Su Yiwan still sat on the ground in a disheveled state. She screamed in a somewhat uncontrollable voice, "Su Yiwan, you're going to die. How dare you!" Unfortunately, Su Yiwan had gradually walked away in the car until she was completely out of sight. Su Yiwan was so angry that her chest heaved violently. She couldn't figure out why Su Yiwan, who used to be as stupid as a pig, suddenly treated her like this. Someone must have spoken ill of her in front of her. Su Yiwan got up and patted the dust on her body. The thought of losing such a big face just now made her face twisted, wishing she could tear Su Yiwan apart. "Did you come back late? How was your time at school today? Su Yiwan walked into the Su family's door with her backpack on her back. Just as she entered, she saw a middle-aged man in his 40s, smiling at her with a gentle tone and indulgence. Su Yiwan's father, the current ruler of the Su family, is Su Mingqing. In the plot of the novel, Su Mingqing dotes on Su Yiwan to a great extent, almost to the point of spoiling her. It is precisely because of this that her lawless, arrogant and domineering personality is created, which ultimately provokes a terrifying existence. The original owner was foolish and incomprehensible, but Su Yiwan was not foolish. She easily realized that Su Mingqing was trying to kill her. Her pretty face had a cold expression, and her gaze swept over Su Mingqing's deliberately gentle face. The corner of her lips hooked and she said, "It's quite fun. That's okay, even if you can't get into college, it's okay. Uncle can arrange for you to study abroad. I heard that the university conditions and environment abroad are good, and living abroad is also good." Su Mingqing smiled and looked at Su Yiwan, his gaze scanning her delicate and beautiful face. A hint of subtle malice flashed in his eyes, but it was quickly hidden very well. Su Yiwan naturally caught it. She raised her eyebrows lightly, but didn't say anything. After saying hello, she went back to her room first. The Su family appears calm on the surface, but in reality, there is a surge of undercurrents. Su Nanshi is the only daughter of her generation. She grew up in the favor of her elders in the Su family, with a simple temperament and a pure heart. It is precisely because of this that she met a scumbag, became pregnant before marriage, and gave birth to her original owner. On the surface, Su Mingqing appears to be good to Su Yiwan and Su Nanshi, but in reality, he is secretly plotting to harm the original owner. It seems that he hates the original owner to the bone, but he dotes on Su Nanshi very much and is a reliable younger sister. As for the two elderly people of the Su family, they were greatly affected when Su Nanshi got pregnant before marriage. However, later on, with the birth of the original owner, they transferred all their love for Su Nanshi to the original owner, and they also doted on the original owner extremely. Now, the two of them are on vacation and will not come back for a short time. Su Nanshi has two older brothers who don't often go home and are good to the original owner when they come back. However, the daughter-in-law of those two uncles hates Su Nanshi and the original owner very much. The Su family is large, with many members and complex relationships. Su Yiwan only tidied up a little before frowning uncontrollably. She is really someone who hates trouble. If she really can't solve the trouble, then she will only be able to solve the person who caused the trouble in the end. With her thoughts gathered, Su Yiwan took out the scroll from her backpack and began to practice the questions. 1-1, are you studying so seriously? Su Nanshi walked in with a bird's nest in his hand and was surprised to see Su Yiwan actually doing some exercises. She knows this precious daughter the best. Whenever she has time, she always runs outside and likes to pester Xiao Mo. There are many gossiping people in the community who don't sound good, but if her daughter is willing, she won't advise. Su Yiwan put down her pen and casually responded. Don't study so hard, even if you don't pass the exam, it's okay. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. Su Nanshi chuckled softly and placed the bird's nest on the table. Su Yiwan glanced at it and raised her eyebrows. Is this the bird's nest you personally cooked for me? Of course not, where would I do this? The nanny at home cooked it for you, which should be arranged by your uncle. He is the most doting and caring for you. You have a lot of study pressure every day, so he naturally cares more about your body and asks you to make more supplements. Su Nanshi smiled at the words and praised Su Mingqing. Su Yiwan sneered inwardly. Be good to her. Will treating her well lead to chronic poisoning in bird's nest? End of this chapter. Chapter 8. A change in face. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. A change in face. Su Yiwan picked up the bird's nest and poured it all into the trash can. Su Nanshi's face was full of shock, and then he frowned and scolded Su Yiwan with some displeasure. You child, Why are you still wasting things like this? This is a top-quality official swallow that your uncle entrusted to him with many connections and finally brought back. It's not even easy to buy. No need, tell your uncle not to let servants do this anymore. Actually, I don't like drinking bird's nest at all. Isn't that just swallow's saliva? What's the use of drinking it? I might as well grab a few swallows and come back to kiss. Su Yiwan pouted disapprovingly. Her attitude was very similar to her usual capriciousness, and Su Nanshi didn't notice anything unusual. She just sighed and said, "You can't always be so stubborn. You always have to learn to grow up." After a moment of silence, Su Yiwan spoke up and said, "Mom, why don't we move out and live? I don't want to live with the Su family anymore." "Why?" Su Nanshi was puzzled. She felt that her daughter had become so strange today. Not only did she wake up early in the morning to go to school, but she also did some homework when she got home, and now she is saying such strange things to herself. She instinctively reached out to probe the temperature of Su Yiwan's forehead, and only breathed a sigh of relief when she saw that her temperature was normal. After thinking for a while, Su Yiwan spoke up and said, "I don't want to live under someone else's supervision anymore, and I want more time to study. Su's family is too far from the school. If you don't want to move out, then I'll move to the school for accommodation." The 4 words, "you," deeply hurt Su Nanshi's heart. She covered her chest, her face turned pale, and it took her a while to catch her breath. You're right, it's under someone else's fence, under someone else's fence." After a moment, she finally regained her senses, but her eyes became a bit more stunned and bewildered. "Since you want to move out and live, then let's move out. I still have some money saved in my hand. We should buy a better house near the school. It shouldn't be a problem. You don't know how to take care of yourself alone, so it's more convenient for me to be by your side." Seeing that Su Nanshi did not refuse, Su Yiwan finally breathed a sigh of relief. She was quite afraid of Su Nanshi's twisted personality and insisted on staying at the Su family. Fortunately, although Sunan Creek has no independent opinions and a soft personality, it truly loves its only daughter. "Let's go take a look at the house that weekend. There are still 2 days left. I'll contact the agent first to find out about the houses near the school." Su Yiwan was afraid that Su Nanshi, a wealthy lady, wouldn't know how to find a house, so she took the initiative to take on this task. Su Nanshi smiled gently upon hearing the words and rubbed Su Yiwan's head with his hand. "Our family has really grown up, and the food should be ready. Let's go out and eat first," he said. Su Yiwan nodded, closed the test paper, got up, and followed Su Nanshi downstairs. As soon as she arrived downstairs, Su Yiwan's cursed voice came over. "Dad, Mom, that crazy Su Yiwan kicked me out of the car, it hurts me so much. Is she having a brain problem?" Su Yiwan's footsteps paused, and Su Nanshi's face was also very ugly. Su Yiwan always pretends very well on weekdays. Today, the fall really broke her defense, and she didn't expect to happen to collide with Su Yiwan and Su Nanshi. For a while, several people in the room felt a bit embarrassed. The next moment, with a loud bang, Su Mingcheng slapped his daughter hard. Su Yiwan covered her face and looked at Su Mingcheng incredulously. "It's just nonsense. I think your mother is so used to you on a regular basis that she doesn't say anything decent. This month's living expenses are gone, so go apologize to Wan immediately." Su Mingcheng raised his hand and pointed at Su Yiwan, his voice stern and angry. Su Yiwan covered her face, blushed with grievances, stomped her feet, and looked at her mother Chen Anwei beside her. "Mom. Lin, you really shouldn't say it's too late. You're just a spoiled child, don't you apologize quickly." Chen Anwei, who became the head mother of the Su family, naturally wasn't a vegetarian. She played the trick of weighing the pros and cons very well. Su Yiwan felt aggrieved in her heart, but still had to bow down and apologize obediently to Su Yiwan. However, she hated Su Yiwan deeply and said, "I'm sorry. Su Yiwan's expression was faint, and she looked at Su Yilan's eyes flickering with resentment. She responded calmly, "Oh. Wan, don't argue with Lin. She's still young and her family is very arrogant towards her. That's why they said those bastards without hesitation." Chen Anwei smiled and looked at Su Yiwan, helping Su Yilan apologize. "That's quite small," Su Yiwan replied with a smile on her face. Chen Anwei's smile stiffened, and she smiled awkwardly, unsure of what to say for a moment. Su Mingqing glanced at Su Yiwan somewhat unexpectedly. Sunan Creek covered up the disappointment and discomfort in his heart and forced out a smile, saying, "Everyone is a family, so there's no need to be so polite. Let's eat first." One sentence resolved everyone's embarrassment. But no one ate this meal well. Except for Su Yiwan. She is accustomed to adapting to any harsh environment, and all of this in front of her is pediatrics. She quickly finished her meal and said, "I'm full. Let's go ahead and practice the exercises first. You guys eat slowly." Leaving behind a sentence, Su Yiwan turned around and went upstairs. Su Mingqing looked at Su Yiwan's back with a smile on his face and said to Su Nanshi, "Wan has really grown up. When Lin was in her 3rd year of high school, she wasn't as diligent. She didn't have enough to eat just now, did she? Later, let Mama stew some supplements and send them to her." "Big brother, no need." Su Nanshi shook his head gently, fell silent for a moment, and then spoke again. "I happen to have something I want to discuss with you, big brother." "Oh. What's going on?" The smile on Su Mingqing's face remained unchanged, and the gaze that fell on Su Nanshi's face was not just about his brother doting on his sister. Su Nanshi smiled helplessly and said, "You know, the college entrance examination will be held in June next year. She feels that Su's family is too far away from the school and wants to move in. I can't bear to let her live alone outside, so I plan to move out with her and buy a house near the school. We will live there in the future." The smile on Su Mingqing's face gradually disappeared upon hearing this, and he looked at Su Nanshi. Although Su Nanshi has a gentle attitude, she has been pampered since childhood and always speaks her mind without hesitation. She never regrets what she has decided. "Sister, you haven't done much work since you were young. Can you get used to moving out? I think you should stay at home. If you want to live on campus at night, let her live on campus. It's only been 6 months." Chen Anwei noticed Su Mingqing's abnormality and quickly smiled to ease the atmosphere. Su Mingqing also regained his senses and looked steadily at Su Nanshi. Su Nanshi shook his head gently and spoke firmly, "No, I have never left my side in the evening. I am not worried. I have already made up my mind. Big brother and sister-in-law don't need to persuade me. Tomorrow, I will go and see the house over there." Su Mingqing took a deep breath and knew that there was no room for negotiation on this matter. He nodded with a gloomy face and said, "Okay, I'll arrange a nanny for you." End of this chapter. Chapter 9, To be frank, everyone present here is trash. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9, To be frank, everyone present here is trash, brother, no need. I can take care of myself and the late ones, and I'm not a child anymore. You can't take care of us all the time. Su Nanshi refused Su Mingqing without any hesitation. Su Mingqing's face suddenly changed, his chest heaving violently, as if he was very dissatisfied with Su Nanshi's words. But after taking several deep breaths, I managed to suppress my emotions and turned around expressionless before leaving. Su Mingqing was angry, and Su Nanshi could clearly feel it. However, Su Nanshi didn't care too much. Almost all of her energy was now focused on Su Yiwan. Su Yiwan rarely stops pestering Xiao Mo in the Xiao family and is willing to study hard. Naturally, she will do her best to satisfy her. Su Yiwan returned to her room, closed the door, and continued to take out her test paper to prepare for the exam. Just now I wrote a word, and someone slammed the door hard. Su Yiwan's angry voice came from the door. Su Yiwan. Open the door for me. I have something to say to you. The two of them tore their faces apart, and Su Yiwan no longer continued to pretend to be her sister in front of Su Yiwan. She simply exposed her true nature. Su Yiwan rolled her eyes and silently put on her headphones, completely isolating the noise outside. The world quieted down, and Su Yiwan felt very satisfied. I have to finish the exam today. 48 hours are already running out, and she only has a little over a day left in her lifespan. If the task is not completed, 3 more days will be deducted, which is equivalent to an immediate death. She just came through and the system is now running out of energy, so there is no energy to arrange for her to wear it again. Su Yiwan's pen quickly calculated and wrote down the answers one by one. She was very fast in solving problems, and all the calculations were mental, with an accuracy rate of up to 100%. If anyone sees it, they will definitely be very shocked. She paid no attention to things outside the window and focused on solving the problems. Su Yiwan scolded outside for a while, and Su Nanshi came up. Feeling guilty, she withdrew her hand and left unwillingly. Su Nanshi looked at the tightly closed door of Su Yiwan's house and thought of the words Su Yiwan had just scolded, which further strengthened her determination to move out of the Su family. Su Yiwan finished writing the last question at 11:59 a.m. Then a familiar system prompt came to my mind. Ding, congratulations to the host for completing the task. Reward them with 100,000 yuan in cash, 1 chance for a lottery, and an extension of their lifespan by 5 days. Su Yiwan took a look and saw that her original lifespan was 72 hours. The time she passed by was 11 o'clock in the morning, and now 37 hours have passed. With 35 hours left, she has suddenly gained 5 more days of lifespan. Now the countdown has turned to 155 hours. Su Yiwan slowly breathed a sigh of relief, got up and slightly washed up before falling asleep. As for the chance to draw a lottery, she always likes to draw 10 consecutive times. Now that it's only 1 chance, she really can't get any interest in it. The next day, Su Yiwan still woke up very early, had breakfast early, bid farewell to Su Nanshi, and then took the Su family's car to school. When Su Yiwan chased after her, she only saw the tail lights of the car where Su Yiwan was sitting. She stomped her feet in anger and asked the butler to arrange a car to take her to school, intending to give Su Yi a late warning and never let this little slut go. Su Yiwan returned to school, and class 19 remained as scattered as ever. It was already time for class, and they were still playing and even had many empty seats. It seems that they had no plans to take the college entrance exam and were planning to go abroad directly after graduation. They didn't even bother to attend school. Sui Lin next door is still sleeping, he seems to be sleeping every day. Su Yiwan sat down and took out a book to start reading. Classmates, please be quiet. When the first class bell rang, the homeroom teacher of class 19, who had never been seen, appeared in the classroom. The man is in his 40s and has almost gone bald, with only a few scattered strands of hair that have been carefully groomed. He stood on the podium and glanced lightly at the immature students below, without much emotion. After a moment of silence, everyone began to make noise again. Sui Lin seemed to be annoyed by the noise, frowned, and then lifted the clothes covering his head. He gritted his teeth and cursed, "It's really noisy." In an instant, everyone seemed like a chicken being choked, and suddenly fell silent. Class teacher Su Kai breathed a sigh of relief upon seeing the situation, cleared his throat with a cough, and then spoke up, "I know most of your families have money and don't care if you can graduate successfully. Coming here is just a way to get by, but you still have to take the exam. Next Wednesday, the school will hold the second survey exam, and everyone will have to attend. You must also be present." "Wow, did you make a mistake? Do you still need us to take an exam?" "Yeah, when did we take the exam? My parents spend money to make me come here to make a living. Isn't everyone having a tacit understanding?" Why are you still taking us on this exam? Previously, we could have taken leave, teacher. Can we take leave without taking the exam? Teacher, did you make a mistake? Did you run to the wrong class? We are in class 19 here, and you told us that everyone must be present for the exam. Just as Su Kai finished speaking, everyone in the class immediately became noisy. Sui Lin furrowed his brow, his face not too pretty. His dark blue eyes were very serious, and he looked like he had finished stealing at night. Now, listening to the noise of his classmates, he rarely spoke up. Su Yiwan tilted her head and said, "So, are all the people in this class useless?" Her voice was not loud, but everyone in front, back, left, and right could hear her. Sui Lin raised her eyebrows and looked at her desk mate who was no longer in love, with a faint smile on her lips. The female classmate at the front desk suddenly became unhappy and turned her head to point at Su Yiwan, cursing, "Su Yiwan, everyone has the right to say this sentence, but you don't have the right. Who doesn't know? You know that you are chasing Xiao Mo's but every day, just a shameless and shameless licking dog. What kind of good thing do you think you are? How dare you say we are useless? Su Yiwan, are you crazy? You said we're trash, so what are you? Are you trash in the trash? I'm laughing to death, Su Yiwan. Do you really think your Su family is very good? Don't forget, you're just an illegitimate daughter, a dead bastard. I don't even know where your father is, it's just a bastard that your mother shamelessly gave birth to with a married husband. What do you mean by calling it here?" Su Yiwan's words successfully ignited everyone's anger. Su Yiwan's face remained calm. She has heard even uglier and more malicious words. Before her were just a group of ignorant little brats, and these words couldn't shake her at all. So she curled her lips and smiled, saying, "Why don't we make a bet? We'll bet on the results of this bottom-up exam. Whoever does the worst on the exam is useless. If I get the first place in the class, you'll admit that you're all useless. How about that?" End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Stage Tasks. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10 Stage Tasks, Bet. I don't believe it anymore, can you still pass us? The girl was instantly angered and agreed directly. Others have strange expressions and always feel that something is wrong. Why did you bring Su Yiwan and Qin Meiyu with you, even though it was a gambling agreement between them? Su Kai twitched at the corner of his mouth and coughed, "All right, let me know it has been delivered. You guys should study hard. The teacher doesn't plan to teach us." Su Yiwan raised her hand and politely asked. Su Kai glanced at Su Yiwan and said with a smile, "I understand why you came to school. The school has arranged for teachers to teach you for the first 2 years, but after you ran away with 30 teachers in anger, the school no longer plans to take care of you. Of course, if you can find a teacher to teach you, the school doesn't mind either." After Su Kai finished speaking, he left directly without even wanting to take a second look at this group of unremarkable students. Su Yiwan felt lost in thought. The original owner's memory did not include these things, probably because they were not important to her. After all, almost all of her memories were about Xiao Mo. Xiao Mo was so meticulous that he farted a few times a day, took a sip of water, and said a few words clearly. "Cut, who's curious?" "I don't know who shouted." The classroom fell silent for a moment, and everyone began to go their separate ways. They don't seem to care so much either. Su Yiwan silently noted it down. She continued to bury her head in reading. Ding, system task release. Detected that the host is about to participate in the second mock exam, triggering a phased task in the system. The task content is as follows. 1. Achieve the top 10 in the class in the second mock exam and receive a reward of 1 day's lifespan. 2. Achieve the top 3 in the class in the second mock exam and receive a reward of 3 days lifespan. 3. Achieve first place in the class in the second mock exam, with a reward of 5 days lifespan. The above 3 tasks cannot be stacked and can only receive rewards once. Upgrade version task, 1. Achieve the top 10 in grade in the second mock exam, reward a lifespan of 10 days, and have 1 chance to draw a prize. 2. Achieve the top 5 in the second mock exam, with a reward lifespan of 15 days and 1 chance for a lucky draw. 3. Achieve first place in grade in the second mock exam, with a reward lifespan of 30 days and 1 chance to draw a prize. The above rewards can be stacked and claimed. Ultimate task. 1. Achieve the top 10 in the city in the second mock exam, reward a lifespan of 20 days, and have 2 chances to draw prizes. 2. Ranked among the top 5 in the city in the second mock exam, with a reward lifespan of 30 days and 2 chances for lucky draws. 3. Ranked first in the city in the second mock exam, with a reward lifespan of 60 days and 3 chances for lucky draws. The above rewards can be stacked and claimed. Su Yiwan hesitated slightly, releasing so many tasks in one breath. She looked at the densely packed task list with a momentary dull expression. But I quickly realized it again. Every time the system releases a task, it is judged based on the actual situation. Due to the original owner's reasons, she was not familiar with the knowledge learned by the original owner before, so she only released the task of doing 3 sets of test papers, with relatively few rewards and only a lifespan of 5 days. Now, because the school is going to conduct a second mock exam, and it seems that the weight of this exam is quite heavy, the system has released a series of tasks. If all these tasks are completed, her lifespan will be extended by 6 months, and it will be much easier then. Su Yiwan was not careless, nor did she feel that she could secure the top spot in the city. After all, there is also a female student named Gu Nanfeng in this book. In the plot of the original book, Gu Nanfeng is the first place in the city this time, and also the first place in her grade. As the female protagonist in the book, there is naturally a presence of luck, and Su Yiwan dare not say that she can surpass the other party 100%, so it is necessary to work hard. She has been searching for a lot of books and buying a lot of problem-solving in the past few days. She plans to work hard for a while. After all, it's already Friday today, next Wednesday, and there are still a few days left. Su Yiwan's mind has gone crazy, right? Why did she suddenly work so hard? Oh, I've seen through everything long ago. Isn't Xiao Mo fond of Gu Nanfeng? Gu Nanfeng is a top student, and Su Yiwan must be trying to imitate him and attract Xiao Mo's attention. Can't she? She threw Xiao Mo in public before and asked him to stay away from her in the future. Are they all acting people? It must be acting. How could Su Yiwan not like Xiao Mo? Have you forgotten what she looked like when she liked Xiao Mo before? She's so humble in the soil. How could she just say, let go, and let go of someone she likes? Qin Meiyu and others couldn't help but whisper as they watched Su Yiwan study diligently. Hey, Meiyu, why did you bet with her just now? What if she really won? Aren't we all useless by then? Are you brainwashed? Aren't we useless if she doesn't win? As soon as the words fell, everyone's gaze fell on her in unison. The girl immediately covered her mouth and blinked. Qin Meiyu frowned and felt a little annoyed. My mom told me that this semester is over and she will send me to study in Maple Leaf Country. Anyway, when I reach adulthood, I will get married. What's the difference between learning and not learning? My mother told me the same thing. Alas, we girls are destined to be sacrificial to the family's interests. I have already seen through it. This topic is relatively heavy, and everyone didn't speak anymore, nor did they have much interest in reading. Their thoughts have long been lost and they don't know where to fly. Su Yiwan's daily schedule is full and organized. Review in the morning and practice questions in the afternoon. She has a large exercise book in her hand, with various types of questions, some of which she has never seen before and only feels incredibly fresh. After a day of learning, Su Yiwan felt refreshed. As the bell rang for the end of class, people from class 19 left the classroom carrying their backpacks one after another. The classroom is in chaos and no one is cleaning it up. She put on her backpack and was still thinking about a problem she had just seen. The problem was a bit too broad for high school students to be exposed to, involving the field of quantum mechanics. She had not seen any relevant knowledge points in her high school textbooks, so she was thinking about how to make reasonable use of the knowledge she had learned in high school to solve this problem. Because I thought too seriously, I didn't pay attention to the front when walking. After walking for a while, I bumped into a meat wall. She lifted her head and looked at the person in the way. When she saw the other person, she continued to lower her head and walked around them. Xiao Mo was so angry that his chest heaved violently. He took a deep breath before lowering his voice and saying, "Su Yiwan, did you mean it?" Su Yiwan paused for a moment in her footsteps and tilted her head to look at him, seeming to not understand what his words meant. Su Yiwan's appearance further stimulated Xiao Mo, saying, "You deliberately say that you like me very disgusting, and then pretend to work hard to study and not want to talk to me. It's because you know I like Gu Nanfeng, so you want to imitate her." Su Yiwan finally regained her senses and then looked at Xiao Mo with a hint of mockery in her eyes. Young Master Xiao has quite a rich imagination. It's too wasteful not to write a novel. Su Yiwan. Xiao Mo was furious and took a step forward, suddenly reaching out and grabbing Su Yiwan's arm. He couldn't accept the attitude of someone who had loved him so much the day before, and suddenly became so. It made him feel like he had been trampled on with dignity, especially recently when Chen Xiang and others were mocking him. Coupled with the previous gambling agreement in the club, as the 3-day deadline was approaching, if Su Yiwan really didn't like him anymore, then all of them would go to the playground and run naked. Xiao Mo couldn't bear such humiliation and injustice. End of this chapter.